Pizza time.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It is August 19th, 2022. I am, of course, RJ, your fellow Marvel Maniac, and today it is another episode of Helicarrier Hangouts where I'm going to be frank, it's going to be a very spicy episode today because I got a lot of things on my mind. I got a lot of things to say about one Mr. David Zaslav and what they're doing in regards to their animation division and some things that I think are just downright some scummy practices and some scumfuckery. So we are going to get right into that. Joining me for this, we have Caden. Welcome, Caden.
Hello. I'm enjoying some overnight oats while this quote unquote chill hangout stream is happening.
Yeah, it's not really going to be a chill,
I know, that's what I was saying. Like,
but
it's not,
it should be okay.
yeah.
Real quick, let's say hello to some people. Jarence Bowman, hello. Film Watcher, hello. Blue Jay, hello. John, hello. Heather Collins, hello. Marvel DC Fan 52, hello. Max, get in here. Get in here, Max. Geek Studios, Maximus Comics. Hi, RJ. Hi, Caden. Hello. Tony Robinson. Hello. So, kind of just to kind of set the tone for this a little bit. So, I was initially at a point when it came to this merger to where I was understanding of certain business decisions being made. I was understanding of things like background needed to be canceled, protect the DC brand, yada yada yada. However, this situation with their animation department and what they're doing is pure scumfuckery. Like it's pure, and I mean this with no hyperbole in my voice. This is not me being hyperbolic here. I think that this is a complete disaster. I think that this is scummy beyond belief. And I think that ultimately what they are doing to their animation department, their animation division, especially to shows like Infinity Train, is a prime example of how the leadership currently of David Zaslav, whether you think it's smart business or not, is slowly eroding all confidence in this brand and the brand's reputation. Um, and it is burning bridges with creatives versus
You know
building
what's
them back
funny?
up, which is what this entire merger was predicated upon in
Yeah.
the first place.
But even, like, especially you already have these animated creators, um, like, going for, like, new, like, laws for them to be able to do more work and stuff. And then you have a studio that's like, oh, no more animation stuff, you know, no more of this stuff because clearly it's not. But the thing is, it's like when I was talking with this to my dad, and all of a sudden he was like, "Oh, just go through like the sites of like all the what Writers Guild, SAG, and like how does streaming residuals work?" And so I was looking into that, and it seems honestly like depending, it's like up until the 13th year that the show is out, you get like a good 5 to 10% of what you were previously paid.
Right, and that kind of gets into this where the
Yeah.
reason, so this is where it started last night. It was 2 nights ago. We got the news that all these shows are leaving HBO Max as of this week. Aquaman, King of Atlantis, Close Enough, Dodo, Elliot from Earth, Esme and Roy, The Fungies, Infinity Train, Little Ellen, Mao Mao, Messi Goes to Okido, Mia's Magic Playground, Mighty Magiswords, Odo, OKKO, The Ollie and Moon Show, Pac-Man and the Ghostly Adventures, some Sesame Street specials, Summer Camp Island, The Not Too Late Show with Almo, which was a launching show for the platform, The Runaway Bunny, Theodosia, Tig and Seek, Uncle Grandpa, Victor and Valentino, Yabba Dabba Dinosaurs. Okay. And this is also some stuff leaving the service. The 12 Dates of Christmas, about last night. And a lot of their animation department.
36 like shows and like 20 and like plus 20 specials and plus 200 episodes.
Mm-hmm. And again, here's the thing. Some shows were still available to purchase on demand. Some shows weren't. So some of these shows, when they got removed, they basically were wiped off clean from the surface. And here's where we get into the real scumfuckery. Okay. This is what I think is the real scumfuckery. So Summer Camp got removed from the service. And this is what the creator of Summer Camp had to say. This is from Julia Pott. We worked for 5 years to make over 100 episodes of animation. We worked late into the night. We let ourselves go. We were a family of hardworking artists who wanted to make something beautiful. And HBO Max just pulled all of them like they were nothing. Animation is not nothing. And we worked through the pandemic to make 20 linear episodes that are the most beautiful work yet. And I cannot wait for you to see them. You will see them. I will not rest. And again, this is how talent is being treated over at Warner Brothers Discovery. This is how their animation talent is being treated. And make no mistake, folks, just because this is animation, you may think, oh, it's just the silly cartoons. Who gives a shit? Again, this is reflective of a terrible business practice and a terrible way to treat talent. And
honestly, when it was announced that they were going to stop certain things, like stop the kids animation stuff, I was like, okay, this is stop greenlighting more stuff. Like whatever is continuing is going to continue. It's going to release whatever. I did not know that they were going to completely erase kids.
And
TV.
and this is where it gets even more into the scumfuckery I'm talking about. Some of these shows, I'll be fair, I don't watch them, but there is an audience for them. Okay. Many Mao Mao Heroes of Pure Heart related tweets and videos on YouTube from Cartoon Network have been removed as well. So they've deleted tweets, they've deleted YouTube videos, they've deleted soundtrack postings. Okay. So Infinity Train, the soundtrack was taken off completely off of Pandora, YouTube, and Apple Music. However, it's still available on Spotify.
Which I don't think will last, honestly.
Which, yeah, I don't think it's going to last either. So you're having the soundtrack for this animated show being wiped off the internet. They are removing the soundtrack from digital music platforms. Then you get into this. Cartoon Network has now removed many Infinity Train related videos from the YouTube channel, including the pilot. So the pilot that got tens of millions of views is now deleted from their channel. And every single YouTube video that they had promoting the show is now gone. Same thing happened to OKKO.
Which I hear actually was a good kids TV show.
Yeah, a lot of people liked OKKO.
Yeah.
All these public videos on YouTube are now gone. The theme song has been removed from all music platforms except for Spotify. Just like Infinity Train. Okay? Then you get this. This is an update from 9 hours ago. This is what happened to Infinity Train. Removed from HBO Max along with many other shows. Every video on Cartoon Network's YouTube channel has been removed. The soundtrack is no longer available to stream on any music platforms. Now it's off of Spotify. And here's the kicker. You can't even buy a physical copy anymore. You cannot buy a physical copy of the show anymore. So for all the people saying, well, they're just moving off the service. Oh, well, deal with it.
They're erasing it from history.
They are erasing the show from their records. They are getting rid of it on all streaming platforms. The music, the actual show itself. And you can't even buy a physical copy anymore. That's bullshit. This is not how you treat your talent. This is not how you treat your properties.
The thing is, it's again, people oh, it doesn't matter, he's in charge. But the thing is this guy, Zaslav, comes from reality TV. Reality TV, you're dealing with knuckleheads of people that are just they're whatever. You're dealing with knuckleheads who have these shows. You can deal with
But here's the thing, William. This is what I've been trying to get across for the last couple of days. This has an adverse effect on the kinds of content that can be pitched and the kinds of content that this company is going to make going forward. This has an adverse effect on the relationships with talent, which Zaslav purposely pivoted his entire run with this company on, being we're going to build the bridges instead of burning them, rebuilding and refocusing on efforts on developing talent relations again. And this is not how you do that. Alex Hurst here, the award-winning creator of Gravity Falls, even had a comment on this. This is blowing up. And whether people want to accept this or not, this is damaging to their reputation. Look how much, again, I understand social media is not real life, but this story is blowing up. The industry is talking about it. Okay, you have the creator of Gravity Falls here saying
like
this.
the thing is, like, although like cape shit Twitter, like, and all that Twitter doesn't count, but industry Twitter goes crazy. Like, they, like, when something happens, they go crazy with it. So, like, although, like, these other
Again,
subcategories
and
of
you have
Twitter
a
doesn't count.
high-profile creator here, Alex Hursain, asked for HBO Max's horrific and idiotic decision to kill countless wonderful shows to pinch pennies. Go check them out before they're gone, and once they are, well, yar har fiddle dee dee. You actually have these creators now actively encouraging to pirate this content because there's no option to watch it. And that is the thing that pisses me off the most in regards to this. It's one thing to remove content from your streaming service because you don't want to pay streaming residuals. Fine, whatever.
But
I
the thing
get
is,
it.
that
You
if
want to
it's
pinch the money. But here's the
like,
thing. You are
but if you're saying
removing it
that you're,
from being watched, period. People
yeah,
can't buy
but
physical
also
copies.
not
They
like
can't
that.
stream it now.
But apparently no one's watching these things, you know. But they're still paying streaming residuals, but no one's watching these things.
That's a great point too. Why are they paying streaming residuals if supposedly nobody's watching this? Why are people in a
Yeah,
tizzy if people aren't watching this content? You may not
this is
personally
it's
be
not
watching
popular.
this, but clearly there
It's
are
not
people who
popular. It's
are.
not.
And
I
the
don't know
whole
what it
point of
is.
streaming services is to be content libraries.
Yeah.
Content libraries for an abundance of content.
Another thing is also, it's like funny how, like, uh it's like, I don't know how someone looks at something that they're gonna buy and be like, oh, this looks like a nice, like, this is flourish is with content and stuff that I want on my side.
And
But
you have the
then
Infinity Train creator here, Owen Dennis, saying, creator of Infinity Train, a show that got pulled from HBO Max and can now only be pirated. I post frogs and hats. You have Dana Terrence here, the creator of Disney's The Owl House, saying this is fucked up. This is blowing up. The industry is paying attention to this, and this is not good. There is no way anyone can sit here and tell me. Oh, sorry, hold on. I'm very passionate about this, Dane. Dane, if you want to come on the show, you're more than welcome to. I haven't had you on in a while, but if you want to come on and say anything, you are more than welcome to. Uh, like I said, I'm very passionate about this because, in my opinion, the whole thing here is we've been talking about respecting creators. We've been talking about
and they want to repair talent
repairing
relations,
talent relationships.
and this is not it.
This is not it. This is not how you do that. And Dane here shared this tweet. HMX is offering big savings right now. HMX limited time offer. Save 100% when you pirate all our shit since we hate creators in Neo. Yeah.
Another thing is also is that, like, so you have two things going on. You have one thing where, like, Zaslav's like, we want to repair our relationships, and we just, like, hired Alan Horn and two other people to be our talent advisors, and, like, Alan Horn, who is, you know, like, and, like, whatever, and then also but then you also have this is showbiz, this is not show friends, but then, like, that other, like, wise guys things, the reason why that whole wise guys
Yeah,
thing was
I want to get to
greenlit,
that too because
like,
here's the thing: you have a established Hollywood trade here, Warner, the Hollywood Reporter, talking about some of the issues that Warner Brothers Discovery is facing, and I find this article fascinating. I recommend everyone go read this, but it goes into the antitrust issues that they're potentially violating here by canceling all these projects. It goes
especially
into how the
because
talent is reacting, and it's not good. The talent is
because
not reacting favorably to this.
when you have antitrust laws, you have to have a certain amount of diverse content, and them canceling all, like, majority of either female-led or person of color-led content, that is going against that law, even if, like, Batgirl was the first domino, and then you have all these other things falling, and so they are now, like, saying, like, to, like they're not gonna have they're gonna have someone come investigate this thing, because they're canceling all this, because you have to have this, like, status of diverse content to have this antitrust to be like, okay, you're good. And right now they're in the we may need to investigate you in a couple
And here's
hours
the thing:
or days or
everyone's
weeks.
gonna. And here's the thing: I'm not blind to the fact that eventually this will pass. But I love T.W. McKay's analogy, Theo's analogy. It's gonna pass like a kidney
Stone.
stone. It's
Yeah.
gonna pass like a kidney stone. This is gonna pass, but it's gonna be a hell of a lot painful. It's gonna be a
Yeah.
rough thing.
I mean,
Okay.
like, I'm sure that, like,
And here's the thing: you are basically telling some of your talent amongst the back row cancellation, which at the time I said, listen, I understand, but this can never happen again. This can never happen again. And I said that. And we're basically witnessing this philosophy go into other divisions. And at this point, how many creatives can get possibly screwed for us to sit here and be like, this isn't okay?
you know what it's gonna take for some of them. I hate to say it.
And I'm not saying, I'm not just real quick. I'm not screaming from the high heavens to get rid of David Zaslav, but I'm just asking people to look at the reality of the situation. Look how many people this is hurting. Okay, is this how we want to win? Is this how we want to get to a better place in regards to this entertainment? That we're screwing over all these creatives or burying their things? And again, I will emphasize this again. I will emphasize this again. I would not be nearly as upset if these shows were available on other platforms, but they're not even doing that. They're removing physical copies, they're removing streaming options, they're getting rid of the soundtrack on music platforms. They are erasing this content and locking it up to get tax write-offs and residuals off this stuff. And that's bullshit. This is not how you treat your talent, and this is not how you build relationships back up. You are basically saying from the high heavens, we do not value creatives. We do not value animation. We do not value animators. And in this day and age, that is the worst kind of mindset you can have. And this is going to bite them in the ass. I wouldn't be shocked if Harley Quinn gets canceled at this point. That's where we're at with this. Young Justice is apparently on the chopping block as well. And I get it. Cancellations are going to happen. Shows are going to end. I'm okay. Listen, it sucks when shows get canceled, especially shows that have passionate fan bases. It is one thing to cancel a show, as Anthony Cheeseman points in the chat. It is one thing to cancel a show and end a show and stop production. It is another thing to completely scrub the show off of your platform, to scrub it off your platform, to get rid of it completely, so no fan, no consumer can ever look at this stuff again or watch the stuff again. And that is leaving money on the table. Even just a little bit of money. Even if you think it's not that many people who are going to watch and engage in that content or purchase it, you are leaving money on the table. Okay? I will never, ever excuse completely wiping off a show off the face of this planet. I will never, ever excuse this kind of business. Because this is bullshit.
I mean, like I said,
and here's the thing. I was open to this merger.
yeah.
I was cool with a lot of this stuff. I was like, okay, you're making some tough decisions. I get that. But this is some corporate scumfuckery. This is some bullshit. This is some evil kind of shit. And I'm sorry. That's how I genuinely feel. And if this was any other creative, if this was people in the live action department, if this was Zack Snyder, and Zack Snyder's Justice League was removed from HBO Max and iTunes, and they weren't selling physical copies anymore, everybody would be on the same page with me on this. But because it's the animated cartoons for the kids, no one gives a shit.
It's not
Nobody
popular.
gives a shit
It's not
or
popular.
understands the emotional impact of something like this. The impact of what this does to creators in this industry.
Another thing was also, like I was talking about the reality TV show. Reality TV show, yeah, they're not the people who work on those shows or the stars of those shows are knuckleheads. So of course, like you can like they have like lives and stuff, and you're just following them around. Like that stuff you can cancel, like whatever, like on the fly.
And again, this is another symptom of this goddamn industry not respecting animation as a genre.
Yeah,
as
that's
a medium,
thing.
as a medium for storytelling.
That's also more of where I think this is coming from as well, is that this is not just like, oh, like, creative stuff. It's more of like, now it's like anime creators already go through so much, and now this is an added baggage to what they go through.
And I have to ask to everyone who has been telling me, oh, the creators are going to get over this. So let's go to new creatives. What creatives are going to want to pitch their cartoon or pitch their show or their movie to a company that will easily ditch their project, throw it under the bus, scrub it away, erase it from their record books, and never release it? Even
I
if
wouldn't go there.
even this is an isolated incident and this is only going to happen for the next year, can we at least acknowledge it's going to be a little hard for people to get on board working for them for a while? Again, this could pass, but it's going to pass like a kidney stone. It's going to hurt on the way out. And that's where we are with this.
To answer the Movie Perp's question about, do you think this was a political move in any way, shape, or form? I think it's a little bit of a lot of things. It's a little bit of accounting. It's a little bit of political. It's a little bit of like a lot of things, But the bigger one, of course, is their PR statement, which is accounting, basically. That we don't want to pay residuals of shows that no one watches, apparently. So,
but here's the thing, William, right? We are talking about the delusion of the streaming brand. HBO Max as a brand has been significantly hurt by this because you have removed consumer confidence in the fact that the stuff that'll be on their platform is going to stay on there.
Right.
The whole point of the value of streaming services, they were a content library for everything you can imagine. Cartoons, original dramas, original series, movies, that kind of stuff. You're diluting your brand at this point, and you're getting away from the whole point of why the content streaming services exist in the first place.
Yeah.
And again,
thing is also
I want to say this real quick too.
Yeah.
Nobody is talking about the horrific precedent this sets for scrubbing shows and content that out of touch multi-billionaire CEOs are saying is underperforming or not performing well enough. So here's the thing. I don't watch a lot of stuff on HBO Max. Because I don't watch rap shit, should they get rid of rap shit? Should they get rid of the Christmas movie that they put out with Neil Patrick Harris just because I don't watch that every single day?
Yes.
This is a horrible precedent. And I feel like I'm in crazy town taking crazy pills because nobody else has seen it this way. Why am I the only one pointing this out, how horrible of a precedent this is setting? This is not good.
William, to say, no, a lot of these shows that people knew existed. Like, OKKO,
Pac-Man, Infinity Train, Sesame Street.
Like, these are high-profile shows.
And if they weren't high-profile, people wouldn't be talking about it as much as they are.
Remember, William's an old man, so he doesn't know Sesame Street. Well, he knows Sesame Street, but he doesn't know OKKO and all those other things. It's not popular, so he doesn't see anyone talk about it.
So they're talking about this antitrust thing, which I think could bite them in the ass. Could this be a nothing burger? Absolutely. But the fact that it's being addressed as antitrust issues. But let's actually hear from some creatives here, okay? And people may not want to admit this, but there are issues with the creatives, okay?
No, there is. Oh, well, like, like you have someone in the comments of another creator saying, like I was in the middle of watching Infinity Train and then got an error alert, and then as I reloaded the page, then it sent me back to HBO Max Home, and it was gone. Like, I was in the middle of watching it.
Yeah. There were people actually watching it when it was removed off the surface. That's the other thing here.
Yeah.
That's the other thing. I'm looking for the part in this where they talk about the creative. Where is that?
It's more up.
Oh, it's more up.
Yeah. It's like around. Is it in this one? Oh, I think it's in another article.
Well, it talks about the Latino community a little bit, but that's
Command F and look up creative or something.
Yeah, hold on. Well, no, it's fine. Here we go. So I thought this comment was interesting. Munez Lebowitz observes that this seems like self-harm. Say you are a fast food restaurant and you have a really popular menu item. When you're bought by another company, would you get rid of the item? It doesn't make sense to get rid of something popular just because you're making a business change.
Yeah,
Yeah.
does it like, so let's say I'm Starbucks and I'm gonna buy Coffee Bean, and let's say Coffee Bean has their own version of a. I don't have this. Me, Starbucks doesn't have this drink, but Coffee Bean does. Um, but I'm gonna get rid of it because I don't know how to make that. I don't know how to make that drink, so I'm gonna get rid of it. Even though there's well enough people in Coffee Bean that knows how to make that drink, but I'm gonna get rid of it because Caden Reed doesn't know how to make that drink that wasn't at Starbucks. But so basically, it's like David Zaslav, don't know how to make animated shows or comic book movies, and I'm gonna delete them and erase them. Like, if you don't know how to make them or don't know how to understand, because again, he only understands reality TV. That's it, and he works with knuckleheads. Like all those people who want to be on a reality TV
Well,
show
and
are
here's the other thing.
knuckleheads.
If you can pull up that Puck News article, I would love to pull that up because I thought
Yeah,
that was just the cherry on top of this, real quick. Dat Boy 2022. I think you say this perfectly, and I think this is the message I want everyone to leave with today. This comment right here. It's one thing to, it's one thing to not release a movie, right, or to cancel a show, but to erase these movies and shows that have already been released is pure BS. And you can't say you care about creatives or art if you stand by and say it's just business. And that is the issue here, folks. I
I
have no issue with canceling or
yeah, no,
stopping
canceling
production.
whatever.
Canceling something's different.
Yeah,
Removing it entirely from a platform, making it unavailable to be consumed, period, that is horrific, and that's wrong.
or how about this? I'm Starbucks and I buy In-N-Out because we're too and like, and I get rid of their double and their grilled cheese because I don't know how to make those.
And I want to save money. I
Or
want to buy.
but
I
not,
want to buy
and
less
then I want to
hamburger
save money and I
buns.
want to save, yeah, and so I'm gonna get rid of those and their milkshakes. I'm gonna get rid of their milkshakes. I'm gonna get rid of their double. They're only going to have a burger and fries. That's it. I'm gonna also get rid of their animal fries and their protein style, like everything but their burger and fries. That's the only thing they're gonna be able to sell. No, William, this is an actual great analogy because it's a company that makes something similar in the food business, but makes something completely opposite. One was making unscripted content, one was making both scripted and unscripted content, and now an unscripted content is like making decisions for scripted content stuff. So it's like a drink company is making decisions for a burger company. Like,
No. El Necron, I just want to say this, and I appreciate you chiming in the chat. I understand canceling stuff. My issue is, as somebody who's a big proponent of media preservation, if you want to cancel shows, that's one thing, but don't remove them completely from your service. Get rid of and stop selling physical copies. That's my issue, man. Because I'm a big proponent of media preservation. My issue is, please do not get rid of this stuff to where it can't be consumed or purchased whatsoever. And that's what is sadly happening. This is what's happening to some of their animated stuff. Again, I have no issue with canceling stuff. Canceling shows, I understand that has to happen. My issue is more so the removal of this stuff from platforms completely, and they're stopping selling physical copies. That's more of my issue. Okay?
yeah.
That's my issue with this. Again, I understand hard cuts have to be made in regards to canceling projects. Canceling stuff, I get that. Okay, I get that. But to remove the content from your service completely, to scrub physical copies, to scrub the soundtrack off of music platforms, I don't think that's okay. I think that's a very dangerous precedent, especially in an age where we are more and more concerned about media preservation, to preserve games, to preserve lost movies and TV shows. It's gonna burn creatives in some aspect because you're basically telling them, yeah, if we don't think your show's doing well enough or has enough engagement by our standards, we're just gonna scrub it completely off the record books. No one's ever gonna be able to watch this again. Like that, it just boggles my mind. That just boggles my mind. And again, will this pass? Probably, but it's going to pass like a kidney stone, and it's going to hurt because you are basically telling your animators and your animation division that you do not value them or their work. That's just kind of where we're at with this, you know. So I hope that clarifies it because again, I understand that they have a unique vision and they want to do something different. That's okay. I understand canceling shows, but don't remove them from platforms for purchase. Don't stop producing physical copies of this stuff. That's the issue. So that's where I'm at with this. Anyway, the Puck News article, Caden, go ahead
Yeah.
and discuss
Well,
that real
to
quick because
set the
I
precedent
gotta
for
relax
this,
my voice.
yeah, to set the precedent, this is we all remember when Zaslav said this is show business, not show friends. Just sticking that into your brains right now. This is show business, not show friends. All right, let's get into it. Uh, you got to feel a bit bad for Mike DeLuca and Pam Abdi, the new Warner Brothers film studio heads. They're trying to put together a big theatrical project for a company, Warner Brothers Discovery, that now says it wants to prioritize movies that can make millions in theaters first. Then they've got a few are and they've got a few that are almost ready to greenlight. Ryan Gosling, for instance, has agreed to star with Margot Robbie in a prequel to the Ocean's movies, one of Warner's biggest franchises outside of DC and Harry Potter. If the deal closes, the co-star of next summer's Barbie, also at Warner's, will reunite with filmmakers Jay Roach, whom DeLuca worked with way back on Austin Powers at New Line. Not bad, right, for film executives. Oceans checks many of the theatrical boxes. Proven IP, big stars in the prime, the chance and success to do several sequels with different heists or even TV spin offs for HBO Max. And with that, I'm told with much bigger budget than Steven Soderbergh's and Clooney's Ocean's movies and the Sandra Bullock spinoff. And then will feel more theatrical, maybe even more summer worthy, while not costing anywhere near the $200 million. But Netflix burned on Gosling's The Great Man. Win win, right? Right? Um, Oceans would have been nice to be the first project to look at put in production since taking over for Toby Emmerich in July. Warner is saying Joker's sequel is Lady Gaga is DeLuca's first green light, but that was a foregone conclusion. Instead, DeLuca was it was suggested um, by his boss, WBD CEO David Zaslav, that the studio first say yes to Wise Guys, a mob drama starring De Niro at age 79 in dual roles as rival gangsters, one of whom attempts to kill the other. It will be directed by Barry Levinson, 80 years old. The script is by Nick Pellegrini, 89, and the lead producer is Ern Winkler, 91,
So
who has been
just
trying to
go
get
ahead.
this story told since 1974, as evidenced by this archived time story making the rounds. You can't make this up.
So pause real quick. So big thing to note in regards to that. So basically, just in summary, because that was a lot of information. DeLuca wanted to greenlight the Ocean's 11 prequel, Margot Robbie and Ryan Gosling,
Right.
but Zaslav pushed him to greenlight this other movie with Robert De Niro, The Wise Guys, because his friends were involved
Well,
in it.
we'll get to that also, but the thing is about this is that like it says not bad. Like where that Ocean's movie would have checked all the boxes, especially for a first movie by DeLuca and Pam Abdi to be put in greenlight and in production. Be like, oh, set, let's do this. Like it's a big thing. Like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
then and if it's good, then it'll show like, oh, they're good with IPs and they can start branching off with this one IP and it'll at least be like, oh, there's some actual confidence in IPs at Warner Brothers right now, and then there'll be maybe even more confidence in DC and more confidence in Harry Potter. But no, the first movie that David Zaslav suggested uh, Abdi and to look at the green light was this Wise Guys film from De Niro, Nick Pellegrini,
But
Barry
here's my thing:
Levinson, and
isn't
Ron
this the
Winkler.
same guy though who said that it's show business, not show friends? But he's doing a favor
Right.
for his friends by greenlighting a
Well,
movie that they
yeah,
want.
yeah, and no disrespect at all to the talented people involved, and yes, great films can be made at any age. See Ridley Scott and Clint Eastwood, but Wise Guys really what sounds like a career cable TV executive with no experience in film. Think it's theatrical? Maybe if they screen outside the Hillcrest Country Club membership, De Niro while still great in Scorsese movies, has been working for paychecks for a while now. The project is good and often very bad. Pellegrini wrote Goodfellas and Casino, but in recent years he's bounced around TV and hasn't penned a produced studio movie since City Hall in 1996. Levinson has had a storied career, including recent TV work and his Oscar for Rain Man, of course, but he hasn't made a film in theaters since 2015 comedy Rock the Casbah, which grossed about
Oh yeah, Rock
$3
the
million.
Casbah. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, around $3 million worldwide. One producer jokingly asked me, did Zaslav mistakenly think he was calling Sam Levinson, a reference to Barry's son, Sam Levinson, who's the creator of
Euphoria.
Euphoria. Yeah,
And
and
also that Netflix film with Zendaya and
yeah,
John
Malcolm and
Travolta.
Marie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so
By
it's
the way,
like,
hello, Non-Kino. What's up, man?
hey,
Hey guys, how we
um,
doing there? I was kind of worried I wouldn't be on this stream there, but yeah, I'm part of the Hardy crew here. I got two of the best people beside you. You got RJ, you got Caden, the king of the king. All we're missing is Matt, but whatever. But I'm doing good, man. I'm pitching for websites. I might be working at IGN, like maybe.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so it's
Well,
gonna be
congrats to
crazy.
you.
Yeah. I don't mean to gloat there. You guys are the cool ones, all right? I'm just the lame nerdy kid. Anyway, I'm guessing we're talking about the new Sam Webington.
Yeah, no, basically I went on a rant for about the first like 20 minutes about how what they just did to their animation division and their animators was pretty crappy. So,
Yeah, I'm speaking of WB people, I've been talking to some people that I know. I'm not in LA anymore. I'm actually back home in Washington, but I have a lot of contacts from them, and they're all very scared of Mr. Zaslav. He's been very ruthless, and I'm telling you right now, this is just the beginning, dude. There's going to be
no, I think there are more cancellations incoming.
yeah, like
100%.
I don't
100%.
care what James Gunn says. Like I think Peacemaker is safe, but I think that Amanda Waller show might be toast.
Maybe.
It sucks. And again, I love Peacemaker. I love these, and also I'm extremely worried for Taika Waititi's Our Flag Is Being Deaf and Westworld. Like I'm especially worried about Westworld because that show has had a shaky start there. It's I'm very, very worried about it. And I love season 4, by the way. It was fantastic.
Yes. So Caden, go ahead
yeah.
and finish this article.
So how did Wise Guys happen? How did the film expected to cost about 40 to 50 million that literally nobody at Warner Bros. Wanted to make, that doesn't really come confirmed to standard for the films that Zaslav himself has spouted to investors not 3 weeks ago, ended up as the first real greenlight new Warner's era. And the thing that they're talking about that Zaslav himself imposed to investors not 3 weeks ago was show business, not show friends. And so, according to 3 sources familiar to the situation, early one morning in May, Zaslav called up Winkler, who's he known for many years, between this project and Sylvester Stallone's recent attacks on Rocky ownership. Winkler hasn't enjoyed this much press in years. Zaz asked how could they work together, and Winkler mentioned this Wise Guys script by Nick Pellegrini that Warner's, among others, had passed on. Again, this is a script, like it says, that a bunch of
So the
studios
script's been
passed
floating
on.
around for a while.
Yeah, the script, like it was first pitched during around Goodfellas, and then he had to rewrite it to make it into Goodfellas, and then since then he's been pitching this thing, like since then, and no one has been said yes to this.
Yeah, you know what it kind of reminds me of. Have you guys ever heard of that movie Gemini Man with Will Smith?
Yeah.
Yeah, that film was kind of had a similar process where it kind of like got shredded around Hollywood. Now, of course, it was in several different hands there, but that was a script that was like stayed dormant for 10 years, and it finally got made, and it
All right.
turned out very well. But anyway, I didn't mean to interrupt.
And so turns out Pellegrini and his late wife Nora Ephron has been close Hampton friends of Zaslav for years, a fact that Winkler presumably knows all too well. One source even told me Pellegrini had discussed the project with Zaslav before the Winkler called, which would explain his exuberance. A rep of Zaslav declined to comment. So Zaz called Emmerich, and Toby apparently explained why a movie like this might not be on strategy for Warner's, meaning it's not going to do enough business in theaters to justify a marketing campaign, and it would probably be too expensive for what Zaslav wanted to spend on films for streaming. Zaslav didn't exactly demand that Emmerich do the movie, but he certainly made it known that he thought it was a great project and he'd love to see it made, despite the reservations. So the greenlight process started. A few weeks later, Emmerich was out, DeLuca and Abdi were in, and when they started Burbank in July, this odds wise guy movie that their new boss really liked was staring them in the face. The announcement hit trades this week, accompanied by more than a few giggles around town. Um, Part of me is like, so what? Zaz is in charge. He can make whatever movie he wants. He's hardly the first entertainment executive to want to work with friends. Plenty of success start that way. And Zaz is described as the mayor of the Hamptons. So there's plenty of buddies he doesn't do business with. And for all I know, Warner's could be celebrating in creative financial triumph of what's guys at the Oscars in 2024. Still, it's not a great look. That movie seems to be a product of Hampton's cronyism. Zaslav doesn't really know the film business, and many at Warner's feared that his inexperience would lead to exactly these kinds of embarrassing situations, especially as Zaz and his exterminator, the CFO Gunnar Winfields, are slashing and burning through people and projects at newly combined company, literally throwing the nearly finished background scoop sequel in the garbage to save money, and disappearing films and shows from HBO Max without warning to the creatives, all while keeping such a throwback talent gainfully employed on a full freight Warner Bros. Films with dubious economic value.
So basically, this whole situation just makes Zaslav look bad. That's the
Yes.
basic takeaway. Like
Yeah,
him
it's
greenlighting
like
this film
he's
is
being
like
a
kind of tone
hypocrite.
deaf.
He's being a hypocrite, and he's so inexperienced that this is embarrassing for employees and executives at Warner Bros. They're like, what the heck's going on?
I wouldn't call it embarrassing. I would call it pretty darn cruel. I call it completely just unfair. I think embarrassing is like underselling it. I think it is very much a very torturous, cruel thing he's been doing. And again, look at that. I know you can, the show business is fucking ruthless. Like I mean, I think we can all agree with that. But man,
No, of course, this is a business. It's gonna be tough. I mean,
but this shit's like getting out of hand here. And again,
well, it's like they said, he's like I've been saying this also, is that he's a reality TV guy. He has no film experience at all. He's inexperienced, and yet when Emmerich, who's experienced in this, advises him not to greenlight this movie or push for this movie at all because it doesn't make any business sense or any sense at all creatively as well, and he's like, and when you have people,
I mean,
like
to be
DeLuca
fair,
and
I don't
Abdi,
think he was ever going to take Emmerich's advice because I don't think that really Emmerich. He probably feels like Emmerich didn't really know what he was doing either. So I mean, it's kind of like
will
that.
Say
that
about Emmerich though, like he was honestly not.
But the thing is it's not even Emmerich. DeLuca and Abdi were like, what the heck? What? We want to greenlight and say it's this one with this awesome movie. I mean, this awesome like business decision, and not this lame one that can like show we are hypocrites. So like, yeah, whatever. And also, it's not a great look for the studio as a whole. DeLuca and Abdi pass on great projects all day long. Saying no is kind of the job. And then this movie gets a yes. That's a weird message to the market, and agencies certainly take a note. And one that likely won't be helpful to the new leadership, which is already facing the company's budget issues, all the challenges at DC, and the parade of consults that Zaslav has engaged to help figure out the movie business. Nothing against Alan Horn, who architected Disney's film renaissance, Terry Press, an experienced marketer, and John Goldwyn, a veteran producer. But as one veteran executive told me at breakfast today, if I was running a studio and my boss brought in 3 people who have run studios to help me do my job, I'd have waved to the studio bye-bye.
So yeah. What does that mean?
Basically saying if someone, like, if they hired me and they're like, and because when you hire someone, you are putting full faith in them. But then you're hiring 3 other people to hold their hand. Then actually, it shows you really don't really have faith in them. and you just hire them so they can be yes people to you.
Yeah. Hey,
Like
Caden.
at this point, I would not like be surprised if DeLuca and Abdi feel like they are being used right now,
Yeah.
for this situation.
Hey, Caden. Honestly, I'm actually writing this piece about WB, and I have like a couple of like things there from the people there. And one thing was kind of funny to me. So like this buddy of mine who like works at WB was saying, it's funny that like Bob Iger, who was like infamous for hating his protege Bob Chapek, they burned the bridges there, and now he's helping David Zaslav. But honestly, I find it kind of. I honestly think David Zaslav's shaping up more like Chapek. Like I think he's more of a more beefed up Chapek. You know what I mean? And it's pretty funny because Bob.
I think they're
Iger,
both. I think they're both cut from the same cloth in a way.
They are, yeah, definitely.
Oh, like I think you have Chapek, who's a Parks guy, and you have Zaslav, who's a reality TV guy, making decisions in film and scripted TV, and will film scripted and unscripted content over in Chapek, and then scripted content over in Zaslav's area, that are really odd things. Although Chapek is, I think, even though yes, some of his business decisions and entertainment-wise are weird, they're not as weird as this.
I mean, some of them are still pretty bad though.
They are pretty bad.
No, yeah. And so yeah. Plus, the creative community remains pissed off about the Batgirl thing, which, despite all the media attention, still seems like it's been an undercovered story. I was talking to the veteran studio chief the other day who said there's basically two main rules of leadership at a film company. One, never say a negative word in public about one of your movies. Two, release every movie you make, no matter how bad it is. You can take it away from the director, put it in theaters in Topeka, or send it directly to VOD Siberia. But if you give a filmmaker your word that you will make a piece of art with them, you must follow through on that. Plus, you never know what POS will find an audience.
Well, that's what we were talking about though, where they kind of threw the rule book out.
Yeah, they were just like, poof. They're like,
yeah. So I'll ask you guys. I don't want to keep the stream going for much longer, but we got about another 30 minutes.
Yes.
Do you want to have William come on?
Yeah. Okay. I want to challenge William on this because again, I get where William's coming from, but again, Hollywood is all about talent relationships. It's all about like having a good balance.
I figured it'd be good to get an opposite perspective on this, so I figured let's have William come on.
All right, William, let's get going. Bring it on. How's my mic, by the way? Is it good?
It's good.
All right, cool, awesome. My regular mic's been broken, so I'm just using the computer one. It's fucking hot right now on it.
Yeah. We have 68 people watching, by the way, across both my stream and Max's. Make sure to hit the like button and subscribe to the Marvel Maniac. I would greatly appreciate it as we get close to my goal of 300 subs by the end of the month.
Yeah, so. RJ, I'm rooting for you, buddy. You out of all the content creators I watch, you're probably my personal favorite, man. I am definitely rooting for you, buddy.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Anytime, buddy. Anytime. You guys like She-Hulk?
Yeah, I thought it was all right.
Awesome. Yeah, I gotta be honest. I actually really did love it. Actually, I know Caden really loved it too. So that's pretty good. I was kind of worried about the show because I heard the production was a little messy and the show had to be restructured a little bit, but it turned out okay. There's some choppy editing here and there, but the show still works overall pretty well.
Yes. Yes. Thank you, Geek Studios, Maximus Comics. I still gotta get used to that name. I'm not used to that name. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Oh, and Caden, one more thing. Remember that DM I sent you about some candidates for the future?
Here we go.
I'm sorry.
He's gonna tell us we're all on drugs. So hi, William.
Oh my goodness, I love you, man. I really do. You and Caden, but wow, dude.
Where do you want to start?
Everything that you guys are saying right now is completely dismissing the fact of what he inherited and what they have to do once you inherit a company like this. When you inherit a company that has as much debt as the value of the company, you have to make certain moves for your stockholders to get that debt under control, or else you have a certain amount of time to do it. When you're saying that they won't show these things on any other format, a lot of that is tied to the fact that there are residuals if it's shown anywhere. There are things that are written into these contracts that if it's shown
But do
anywhere.
do you understand the issue though, where it's kind of screwing over these creatives though?
When we said this before on a couple of different streams, though, when we had this conversation, this is an unprecedented situation. This is an everyday activity. So I could see it if this was something that he did Monday through Friday every day for the next 6 years. But you cannot say anything that you guys are saying and completely dismiss the fact that they purchased a $73 billion company that was devalued $30 billion and then assumed $46 million in debt with it. So you have to make certain moves. This is not an everyday practice as far as that goes. Yes, there are going to be people that are going to be butthurt about it. But
well, yeah, you're basically removing their
do.
shows that they've spent years working on, saying you can't even watch these
but
on
you know
physical
what?
media anymore.
Aim that arrow at the people who shit in the yard first. All right. This is all happening because of what went on prior. All right. He did not come into a ready-made situation. They came into a very damaged situation that needed adjustments. Now, you guys are not wrong to feel angered about these things going away, but you have to understand it from a perspective.
I'm appalled, honestly.
That's fine, but none of you guys, including myself, leveraged $46 billion to buy that company and its debt. We can make these decisions, or we can make these aspirations and accusations from the sidelines, from the safety from our computers. But you have to keep in mind, it's not just Zaslav. He has stockholders and everything else. By the way, the antitrust thing that's been debunked. That's nonsense. I hate when people bring up antitrust and don't have any further clue about it.
The Hollywood Reporter article talked about that.
And I read that article, and they really need to stop. They really need to. There's a lot of intricacies that go into antitrust, and just talking about it in the wrong way can get a lot of people into trouble. There's a lot of stuff. Even a small business like me has to deal with antitrust issues on certain issues, and there's a lot involved. And for them to throw it out in that article the way they did, that's very irresponsible. But for fans
my
big
biggest concern is I feel like this just sets up a very bad precedent for basically like saying that, like, here's the thing. I wouldn't be nearly as upset if they made these shows still available on digital platforms for purchase. Or
they can't. If you're going to write it off as a loss or in
but
avoid
that's
paying
the issue.
residuals,
That's what I'm talking about. Though.
How can you tell them that they can't do that when they inherited a damaged company with that kind of debt?
How much money are they realistically going to save from getting rid of a show like Infinity Train off all their platforms?
If they're paying for something that is not getting them results, it's a penny is too much. You can't run a business paying for stuff on sentiment. They have numbers in front of them that we don't have. Every one of you guys on the screen, including myself, is guessing at things that they have. So to tell a company that has leveraged that much of their legacy on that, what they can and can't spend on when they just inherited a company that 3 or 4 years ago was worth $30 billion more, that's just silly.
Look, William, I understand where you're coming from a financial perspective. I get it, but I don't know. I feel like a lot of this whole Discovery Plus shit is just like really, I don't know. It just kind of rubs me the wrong way. I mean, you look at say what you about the previous regime, and there was some stuff there, but they did take chances there. Like there was some great stuff that came out of that regime there.
Not enough to keep them from going $30 billion under.
No, like the other regime had issues. I guess my whole thing is like
hold on. When you say the other team had issues, that is not a small sentence. They had the issues.
No, I know. They caused a lot of problems.
For not restoring the Snyderverse. I mean,
no, don't even. I don't even need to bring up the Snyderverse to let you know how stupid ass that regime was. All I need to do is math. All right, everybody on here right now has a calculator on that phone. I'm pretty sure that $74 billion is more than $43 billion, right?
Yes.
So everything that you guys say has to account for that. Somebody has to account for that. Fans don't have to, which is great. Fans are fan. I'm a fan. But if I ran my business like a fan, and some of the things I'm hearing you guys is chatting with you guys saying, there'd be a pink sticker on my door, and I wouldn't be able to get in my own building.
Right. My perspective on this, and again, you could say I'm right or wrong for this, but my whole thing is that you're kind of eroding trust in your streaming service in terms of like consumer confidence that what they want to watch is going to stay on there. Right?
No, you're not.
Also, yes, you are.
Real quick. The other thing is that whether we want to admit it or not, okay, this is causing issues with creatives. And my whole thing is, I just wish that they would take into consideration not trying to burn these bridges with these creatives, because that was such a big mission statement of David Zaslav coming in. And
let me ask you guys a question.
This move does kind of burn bridges with some creators in terms of the animation space.
Out of the 5 of us, including myself, including myself, I'll put myself in the bag.
There's 4
Who
of
is
us.
more qualified to make that decision? Us 5 or the guy who leveraged his company enough to where he could buy major studios?
No, I understand. Like, he is going to be more qualified to make that decision, but I could still disagree with it and feel
That's
like
fine, but
it could come across as anti-consumer and anti-creative. And again, I agree with the notion that this is going to pass. But my analogy is that it's going to pass like a kidney stone because it's going to be very painful.
I agree with
it's going
that.
to burn on the way out.
But it had to happen. I mean, none of this is pleasant. Once again, aim that arrow from 2013 to the moment the ink was dry on this merger. All right. If the house had been ran right up until this point, you wouldn't be dealing with a lot of this stuff. And you know what? If the house had been ran right, there wouldn't have been a merger to begin with because the company would have still been valued.
No, I agree.
And if there was a merger,
I understand that.
Yeah, it wouldn't have been $43 billion instead of the $74 billion. So 99.9 of the things you guys are really angry at, if you look at the nuts and bolts of it, have nothing to do really with he's the guy that's there now. So he's an easy target. And yeah, it's going to hurt going out, but I knew this coming in. I told you guys 6-7 months ago, this is going to be painful simply because there needed to be changes. You don't get to where Warner Brothers was by doing things right. So now, yeah, you got to go on and do surgery. You got to do some amputations, and it sucks. And you're right to be angry. I'm not discounting the anger and the disappointment there, but just make sure that needle is aimed where it needs to be. That's all I'm saying.
Okay. No, I mean, again, that's fair. Like I said,
Ken, you got any thoughts on this, Caden?
I just no thoughts at all. Like, I'm a void of nothingness.
What? Come on, Caden.
Oh, now you wait until I get on here and become a void. All right.
Come on.
No, but like,
Get him.
Caden.
Go get him.
I heard something that I was like so confused.
That was me. Sorry.
But no, like I believe that this situation, like the situation is definitely something that was offhanded by the previous people, but I think there is a better way to handle this than what they are handling right now.
Explain. The floor is yours. How? Name the steps.
I was looking at streaming residuals. Streaming residuals is only for the streaming service. It's not for physical media.
No, that is not
yes,
true.
Yes, it is. Yes,
you get residuals off of any dollar that's made. Somebody has worked that into that contract somewhere around another. Anywhere that is,
it's not worked in WGA or SAG contracts.
Yeah, but you have other residuals and back-end deals, all kinds of stuff that happen, and it goes from creator to creator. But once again, what you're saying would be okay if we weren't talking about a company that was bought into debt. If everything was going okay, that's great. You can absorb just about anything. But when you're coming in 46 billion in the hole, you have to apply that math.
I have a serious question. Why is it then that they're not considering licensing out this content to make extra money? If they're in debt, why don't they just license out the content to other platforms?
Because there's two things. There's debt, and this goes from the Netflix playbook, and there's manageable debt. Now, when they bought the company, they laid down a game plan with their stockholders, what they were going to cut and where the path forward was going to go. And that's another thing that none of us know is what they have decided to prioritize as far as what they do want to spend money on. They may not want to license this. That might not be the way that they want to go forward. They may have a plan that they've laid out to their stockholders and said, this is our 10-step plan. This is what we're going to prioritize our money on. And we're going to go forward with this. And in order to do this, this is what we have to cut. See, we weren't in those meetings with the stockholders. So there may be a good reason why they have decided not to do that. And it may be about prioritizing what the assets that they do have while they're balancing that debt going forward. They have the right to go forward in their own way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, okay. That's a fair answer.
You know, RJ, with all this bad news at WB, there is a shining way of hope there. And you know what that is? The rehearsal got renewed for a second season, baby. If you don't know what that is, it's an HBO show. It's fantastic. It's wonderful. You should all check it out before it gets written off as a tax write-off. But anyway,
yeah, that's big though. If we weren't talking about that kind of debt and a company being mismanaged, because you only have a limited amount of time to write off these things or take losses. Even residuals, one thing, but there's also profit and loss, P&L, bottom line things that you have a certain deadline once you merge with a company in order to save your stockholders. If you don't do that, you devalue your stocks. It's like when we have like a debt limit crisis or something like that. When you don't manage your debt by a certain amount of time, your credit gets decreased. And remember, most of these movies are made by leveraged films. They get money lent to them to make these films.
Let me ask you this, like, and I mean this in all seriousness. I mean, it's fine if you disagree, but I would really like a genuine explanation. Isn't this going to cause some issues with creatives when it comes to like wanting to go to Warner Brothers Discovery and pitching new ideas or new shows?
No.
Yeah.
And you've said this before, and this is what made my ears smoke, and I'm probably going to turn to weed, even though I've never done drugs before. This is an extraordinary situation. This is not an everyday situation. Yeah, it's going to hurt, but most creatives, I talk to people who work here in Vegas that are part of guilds and everything else, and some people who have acted in movies, and most people, there are going to be some people who are angry. And some people who don't really want to dive into the what we just talked about, the nuts and bolts of the entire situation. But most people are going to understand that this is an extraordinary situation. They inherited a heaping, smoking pile of shit and had you step over that pile of shit to get into a brand new house. This is not an everyday situation.
What about what about the creators that got their shows shelved and removed and scrubbed from all platforms, though?
They're going to be. This is the reality, unfortunately, that they're going to get no matter where they go.
I'm asking you, do you feel like they're actually going to want to continue working with the company, though?
Yeah.
After this?
Because well, hold on. Like I said before, emotions and tantrums don't pay for shit. All right, they're mad now, understandably, but nobody's burning bridges. Not the talent, everybody. They may say some shit somewhere, but when you're trying to make money, I don't care if it's from a lemonade stand or from a corporate office or a fucking comic book store like this, all your bridges are fireproof in real life. They may not be on Twitter, they may not be on Facebook. You can say all the shit you want on social media, but where the contracts get signed, those bridges are fireproof. All right. When it comes down to it, business will get done. Rent will get paid. Power bills will get paid because that's how business is done, period. People can get emotional and become prisoners of the moment. And like I said, the anger and the fear is not unjustified. But you have to understand the long-term mechanics of these things. They're not just a couple of days, a couple of months to talk about it and get screamed about and stomp off. These are long-term. These are billions of dollars on the line. So, yeah, I think when it comes around, it's okay for people to get mad now. But when it's time for business to get done, especially with the landscape being what it is, not just for Warner Brothers Discovery, but for everybody, you're going to go to whoever offers you the best deal. And for both sides.
Honestly, I will say this. I do think maybe Wesley Grace might like do some stuff with WB, but I'm pretty sure like the directors are probably just gonna like bow out of that one. If that's just my opinion, there they might just go back to like.
I would bet this location and everything in it that if the proper deal were given to those directors, they would come back because it wasn't them. It was the circumstances that the new company just did not want to deal with.
No, Necron, that's a great point. I mean, physical media is important. Like, William, just understand most of my frustration, like, I understand canceling shows. I understand making cuts where it's necessary. I'm even fine with them removing it from HBO Max. What I have an issue with is scrubbing the shows off of physical media and, like, digital platforms for purchase. That's where I get kind of like...
But there's a cost there. There is a cost.
I understand, but can you understand my concerns, though, as a consumer?
Yes. Short term, yes. Long term, no. Once the company cuts that debt in half, you're going to see, and that's another thing that people aren't doing. You got to give them time to get from under this situation and rear things to where they want to go. The decision making and the mindset, if you look at the way mergers, especially mergers of devalued companies, the mindset in the first 3 to 6 months and maybe a year is harsh. But as they get out of that debt, different decision making is at their disposal now because they're dealing with a different financial landscape. So what's going on right now probably won't be what's going on in the future, but you can't get to that future with all this bloated weight that you just inherited. You can't really make the company a success yet until you manage that and you show your stockholders that can be managed and you show your financiers that can be managed. So all the stuff that's happening now, if it weren't for the fact that there was debt involved, first of all, we wouldn't be having this conversation because Warner Brothers probably wouldn't have been sold. Yeah. But we are.
Well, I think Devin brings up a good point, and I think this is maybe something we can both agree on. A lot of this creator outrage comes from the way this has all been communicated to the creators. There's a right way to do it, a wrong way, and I think Zaslav is just relishing it being hyper blunt and direct. That is true. I do think Zaslav is approaching this differently in terms of communication, where he's more blunt and direct when it comes to the moves he's making. Like he's being very upfront about what he's doing, and it does come across as harsh. And maybe that's where more of the outrage comes from, because the way he's delivering and communicating it, maybe that could be. And that's not a bad thing. I'm saying just the way he communicates his strategy could be harsh in regards to how the creators feel.
Because the previous regime communicated in a different way to a fault. They told and sold people things that they were never going to be able to deliver on, and they greenlit things that should have never been delivered on. And now we're in an environment now because of that somebody has to come in with the butcher knife. And if you're the cow, the butcher's always going to be the bad guy, no matter where he cuts first.
Yeah. Hey, Caden. Speaking of the creatives, there's actually like one creative at Warner Brothers that I'm very curious about the future on. And I'm pretty sure Caden will probably think that there. I've always actually been kind of curious, like where does Eastwood fit into all of this? Because again, he's had a 50-year relationship with the studio, and he seemed to be the first one to get raked over the coals by Zaslav back in the day.
With the whole, it's show business, not show friends stuff.
Yeah, like where do you think he's going to kind of end up? Do you think he might just retire?
He's 92.
He's retiring. I thought that was the plan after that movie. Was him to retire.
Clint Eastwood, my dude.
Oh, Clint Eastwood.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And his movie that should have never been made, and they knew that movie wasn't going to make money.
Like even though like Clint Eastwood is a great actor, that movie should have never been made. Like do I agree with the sentiment of the show business, not show friends? Yes, kind of, in a way. Like if you have like something going on with a client that you already have a deal with, then make a project with them, continue that deal. But if it's someone who's coming in who you've had a deal previously with, who's trying to push this project onto you, it's like, be like, I already have deals with the other people, let me deal with those deals, then let's create a new deal for you. But if you don't want to come in and do a new deal with me, then no, I'm not going to do your project.
See, once again, the decisions to make, I think was Cry Macho was a movie in question that had no business being made. Decisions with backer. These decisions have consequences, and these are just the ones that we're talking about. Warner, there's a whole bunch of stuff that they left. That pile of shit that I'm talking about, it's human stack. It's human height high. So for everything project that you bet that's been announced that they've had to deal with, there's probably a bunch that should have never been greenlit, and that devalues your company, especially when you're purchasing it. Because once again, if your stock gets downgraded, because not only because they do an analysis that we're never going to see, that stock, all that stuff, profit and loss, if your stock gets downgraded, that fucks your company. So if they're still sitting on some of these things that they're spending money on, that they shouldn't be spending money on, and that they're not going to make a percentage back, not just a profit, a certain percentage back, because you got a lot of middle people, then your stock gets downgraded. Once your stock gets downgraded, that's bad. So yeah, he has to make these moves. It sucks, but there are reasons why this stuff is happening, and it's unfortunate. But it was the last 9 years are unfortunate too.
Yeah,
Hey
RJ, I just wanted to ask this thing here. So I think we're gonna wrap up in like 15 minutes here, but I wanted to ask you guys something here. So with all the projects he's greenlit here, so like I actually have a list here. So like all the stuff he's greenlit, he has greenlit Joker 2. He's greenlit the sequel to Godzilla vs. Kong. He's greenlit a Jon Snow show and Wizard of Oz, and also this.
Well, he didn't greenlight Joker 2.
Yeah, Joker 2 was from the.
It was Emmerich.
Once Joker 2 hit $1 billion, that was the most unannounced worst kept secret ever.
Emmerich and Hamada was Joker 2.
Yeah, but
and the Jon Snow was Casey Bloys.
Two things that are going to make them money and increase the value of the company. By the way,
out of that slate there, which one's probably going to be the breakout hit there? Like which one is the most valuable?
Wise Guys won't be
not the Wise Guys. No, no.
Oceans, the Joker 2 will definitely be like.
Yeah, I mean, I think Joker 2 and the Jon Snow show should be successful.
Yeah.
Godzilla vs. Kong made a profit during a pandemic. I remember promoting that movie. That did very well.
That movie's gonna do great. Like, I think even Wizard of Oz is gonna do great. Like, I think these movies are gonna do fine.
Yeah.
You know, like
actually,
the Wise Guys ones, I think will do fine, but not the fine that.
How much is being spent on Wise Guys? So I didn't see what.
40 to 50 million.
That's nothing. Yeah. When you're talking about a De Niro movie who does still have a job, believe it or not, at 80, he still draws.
Right. I know, but like it was, but what they were saying was that like marketing that film will be a bitch to do because of who is involved.
Because of the talent that's involved.
Not De Niro, but of who is writing and directing it.
You had me at De Niro, and you're going to have the most average guys in the certain age demographic what they're aiming for. You had them at that. They're not even going to go beyond that. De Niro's name, maybe not to the demographic that's on the screen and in your chat, but De Niro's name, Pacino's name, they sell even in movies that they really shouldn't be in sometimes.
Pacino sells all the time. De Niro sells that article said that majority of the time he sells.
Yeah,
they're a good bet. I think the average fan is going to be like De Niro. I mean, I listen everything that De Niro and Pacino do. I go see. Even some of them, I'm like,
it's one of those things where I think Wise Guys is just everyone's going to feel like it's another Goodfellas.
Yeah.
You know what though? That's another Goodfellas. That's not a bad label to put on something. In fact, that's another thing that'll probably make it a hit.
Yeah. Actually, and one more thing. There's actually
honestly after talking about it, it may do fine. Yeah,
actually, hey, Caden, there's actually this other project that got greenlit by Warner Brothers as well that I'm actually pretty excited for. It's from the it's called Disaster Wedding, and it's actually set to be directed by probably one of my favorite films of 2020, Palm Springs. Did you guys see that movie?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Max Barco. And guess what else? Margie, you're going to love this. You know who's going to be producing it? John Watts, the guy who did Spider-Man.
Oh, yeah. I heard about that. Yeah.
So that's pretty cool. I'm pretty excited about that. So there are some projects that are like, he's going to take some gambles on some projects there. So, and is it going to be theatrical or is it going to be streaming? Or
no, straight to streaming movies. That's what we learned.
So this will be a theatrical.
So all movies that are greenlit are all
they want to be theatrical first, then go to streaming later.
Yeah.
He thinks that now this is where I do sort of disagree with him on, because I think that even though streaming for all streaming platforms is sort of on shaky ground from day to day, it's only because we got a glimpse of what things are going to ultimately be. I really think streaming theatrical is the way to go. I understand what he's saying, because right now he has to put immediate value for every dollar that he's spending. So when you put theaters and movies, but my problem with that is, once again, you put these movies in theaters, you got to pay a lot of middleman. You're already paying back the person who financed the movie. So I hope that one works out for us.
That's like I was like by doing straight to stream movies, you are then you have one way where it's like, okay, if this movie doesn't do well in theaters, and if I'm not getting as much money from the theaters as you said, because there's a main middleman who I'm paying to put this in theaters, but it does really well on streaming.
Hold on, Marco Zinho de Oliveira says, "Shut up, you're hypocrites. You just criticize David Zaslav while Disney monopolized everything." No, I criticize. I don't like Bob Chapek either.
Yeah, we've been there.
I criticize Bob Chapek a lot too. I think that he's. I'm not really criticizing David Zaslav. I just have questions regarding his strategy. That's all. There's a difference. I'm not criticizing the man. I'm just saying I have questions regarding the strategy that he's employing right now.
I've been extremely critical of Disney. Are you kidding me? That's weird. That's just
real quick, William, before we end the show, have you started promoting Black Adam yet? What's that looking like if you are?
We will start promoting Black Adam today. Today is what, the 19th?
Yeah, the 19th.
Probably about another month. Looks like they're gonna go pretty big on that one. It kind of like Birds of Prey, where they gave us a bunch of stuff and a bunch of tickets. It's a really important movie for them, so I think the advertising department is gonna go all out for it.
And one last question I want to ask here: do you guys think Shazam will actually come out this year? Do you think it will get moved to 2023?
It'll come out this year.
Yeah, they'll probably keep it for this year. I don't know though.
Yeah.
It's gonna make the same amount of money no matter what part of the year it's released in. I would keep it next to Avatar, because the Christmas time is where people go. It's the one time a year where the majority of people go to the movies multiple times, and multiple households see different movies. So if you want to see Avatar, but your 12, 13, 14-year-old doesn't want to see that again, or never wants to see it to begin with, you just send them to the other movie. So I would keep it in December where it is released now. I think that's its best bet. But I don't think there's any. It's Shazam. Shazam is going to make Shazam money no matter what part of the year it's going to be. It's max a $600 million movie, unless something happens that makes a connection to the point where it's an anticipatory thing, to where it's like, okay, I got to go see Shazam.
Max for this one will be 800.
That, you know what? Somebody's getting that. That's a lot, because you remember the first one only made 400 something. So I'm
Yeah,
giving
I
him a
know,
$200
but
million
like, I
bump.
think knowing what this one's about and everything, I think this one's gonna make more.
Dude, you do realize Shazam's opening against Avatar 2, though, right?
Yeah, and I think that's going to
and Wakanda Forever will still be in theaters in December.
Once again, you're talking about the time of year where people go see multiple movies. There's no other time of year.
I think Shazam will be successful, but I'm not expecting 800 million. Like, I think 400, 500 million worldwide tops.
I'd be safe in the 600 million category. I think that's pretty.
Yeah, I think, and you know what? That's amazing money for what they spent on it to make that kind of money back on it.
I mean, that Shazam movie was easy to make. This Shazam movie was easy to make. I mean, like, these movies are. I think these movies are the type of movies that Zaslav wants to make.
Black Adam will be lucky to make 600 million worldwide.
I'll
say this though.
I think 650.
If Superman is in this, and it's Henry Cavill showing his face, that's an instant $700, $800 million grossing movie.
Yeah, I think that's what's going to happen. I have no inside authority, but I think just the way things are.
I'm just saying, if Superman is in Black Adam at the very end, and you see Henry Cavill's face, add an extra 100 million to the box office total.
Otherwise, it's just The Rock carrying 100% of the load, and 600 million for that is good. But when it's just him, remember all the other things that he's been into for the most part. There have been other stars. Fast and the Furious had other stars and an entire franchise behind it. This is a character that nobody knows.
Dwayne Johnson's not alone in this movie, though. He's got like Noah Cemento. He's got Pierce Brosnan.
The only big name is Pierce Brosnan.
Okay, and I know who Pierce Brosnan is because I grew up with Pierce Brosnan. He prior to Daniel Craig, he was my favorite James Bond, but he doesn't have that kind of demographic connection.
He's going to bring in the women, though. He's going to bring in the women. He's going to bring in the older women.
And the gilfs.
You think he's a MILF magnet? I think The Rock is the bigger MILF magnet than
no.
I could be wrong.
I think The Rock is a MILF magnet, while Pierce Brosnan is a grandma MILF magnet.
Oh, G-MILF? Hey, you know what? G-MILFs take their grandkids to the movies, so I'm gonna get that. I'm copywriting that, by the way. MILF magnet. I've used that enough. But it could work. I mean, like I said, but I think people should temper their expectations because it's Black Adam. So it's not like, it doesn't have the name brand loyalty that a lot of these other heroes have, but The Rock does. So even if it doesn't pull $1 billion, which I don't think it will.
He's going crazy on Twitter and Instagram marketing this movie.
Yeah, he's marketing the movie more than they are, which I think people make fun of The Rock for being bloated and overconfident and all that. He's doing 100% of that of the carrying of the public persona of this movie, which I really want to see change really soon.
They need another trailer badly, and they need a good trailer. Because the last couple
they need a trailer with 2 big money shots.
Yeah. Hey, Kate, I want to ask something. Have you guys heard about how it's testing recently? Black Adam is it tested better? Because I knew the
I heard it's testing like really well.
Yeah, I've heard the same.
Yeah,
it's testing really well.
One more thing, speaking of Henry Cavill, like where did that like Hyperion Henry Cavill coming from?
Well, that's kind of people kind of took that out of control, but that actually did come from
certain people are destroying you over it, and that's not fair.
I'm not the one who came up with that. No, this came from a Twitter account by the name of Cinestealth. They're pretty decently reliable. But even they clarified and just said that they at least talked to him, but nothing was officially signed yet. So he could be in Loki season 2. He could not be.
It could happen, but people thinking that doesn't mean he could do anything else or do Superman again. Listen, like I always say, business will get done. Negotiations on schedule and money, there are people whose entire careers are to do that. Danny Garcia, she's not going to give up that 10% or whatever she's getting by letting another money-making project not happen.
No.
They will negotiate, and if he needs to be Superman here, Captain Britain, or whoever over here, it'll happen.
Yeah.
That's just not, no one's going to let that kind of, the people who want them for these roles are not going to not let them happen because of schedules, and the people who want to get paid for these roles are not going to let them happen. So jumping ship, no, he's going to do it all. He's going to do, and there's ways to film these things. A lot of this stuff gets done in London. Hell, shoot, you can go from one soundstage to another. Or
that's what I was going to mention. The thing that adds to this rumor is that The Witcher and Loki season 2 both film at the same soundstage studio when they need to do indoor shots.
Yeah, so, I mean, it's very convenient. Like I said, when you're talking about the kind of money, he's 39 years old right now. He probably has another 14, 15 years of looking like he does, like being his own MILF magnet, being able to build computers and impregnate people just by them watching. So he's got about a good 15. So he's going to make that money while he can. All these guys are going to make that money while they can. They'll drive themselves and overextend themselves to a certain extent, but we're not talking about 39-year-old me or Enosh or somebody in our regular everyday shape. We're talking about people like The Rock and Henry Cavill that are in impeccable physical condition, and their endurance is way more than the average people of their age. The Rock is 50. The Rock is 50. Yeah. Just say that. Look at him and say The Rock is 50. He's been on my TV screen as a wrestler for 25 years.
Well, before we end the show, we have to ask this because we're about to end the show, but I have to ask: Will Black Adam perform a rock bottom?
Yeah. And then I'll know every wrestling geek in the audience. I'll be like, "You're a wrestling geek, and you didn't want to admit it, but I saw you." Or if he does, dude, if he rips off that little gold armband and does the people's elbow somehow, I might lose control because that would be hilarious.
Would that go too far though? Would that just be too stupid?
No, because look, go watch They Live. If I followed the career of Roddy Piper, and then I saw They Live, when he's fighting Keith David, he choreographed that whole fight. Those are all wrestling moves. The clothesline, the body slam, they're all his wrestling moves.
Sabak and
man. I think that would be part of the appeal. People, they're going to see The Rock. They're not going to see Black Adam. I think the comic book nerd, that kind of, but they're going to see The Rock.
There's some people there's smaller groups of people who are seeing it for certain characters, but the bigger audience will be seeing it for The Rock.
Yeah, and then they get introduced to those characters, which is cool because the Justice Society is an underserved team. You can't really serve them because nobody knows who they are, and you can't risk a bunch of money on the Justice Society, unlike the Justice League, where it's like that's a brand name. I hope this movie elevates the Justice Society to the point where people start doing some research on it, because you can't go wrong with the
The Rock is saying that the goal of this movie is to be a launching pad for spin-offs and more connected cinematic universe films. So he's basically saying we're already looking at spin-offs for certain characters right now.
Let's see how they do. I mean, Dr. Fate, I could definitely see a Dr. Fate.
Hawkman for sure.
Yeah, Hawkman, as long as the story is there. Hawkman on his own spinoff, just on his own. I gotta see enough.
If they do a Hawkman movie though, it'd be Hawkman and Hawkgirl. It'd be a team.
Or Sam Thanagar, depending on what reality we're in. Yeah. That's another thing that they need to tell us. What universes are we working with? The sooner that they communicate that to us, I think a lot of people can get really excited about this. Right now, we're kind of we're hopeful that these movies are going to be good, but we're kind of going blind because Justice Society exists in a very precarious spot in DC's history, off and on. So you really want to explain that to people.
We know maybe Black Adam kills the whole JSA in this movie.
Death and destruction.
There you go.
Oh my god.
Hopefully there's some dismemberment.
Why can't we be friends?
All right, guys.
Say that he does tear someone in half.
There we go. See,
he said that he could tear someone in half. He didn't say that he would.
One of the 3Ds is already taken care of.
That he literally vaporized someone. So
that was cool. But
yeah.
All right, guys. Well, thank you everyone for joining this conversation and rant. This was fun. Thank you to Caden, Non Kino, and William for hanging out with me. Again, we'll be back next week to talk She-Hulk episode 2, probably next Thursday.
Which was great, by the way. I watched.
You like She-Hulk?
Heard that scene where she's in the saw things. He's like, why do I feel like if I don't transfer, I'm gonna die? That whole scene made the show for me.
Yeah, definitely. I'm shocked.
You're just gonna kill me?
I'm shocked how warmly received that the show's getting there. I mean, there are some people that don't like it, but overall, it's doing
Just go watch the replay, Tony. I'm sure you'll make a response video or reply in the comments and say I'm wrong or something. It's fine. We had William. We had William for that already. But yeah. So again, we'll be back next week to talk. If anything happens in the world of Marvel, I am planning a D23 prediction stream that'll probably not be this upcoming week. It'll probably be next week, the week of the end of August. And then we'll do that and D23 coverage in a couple weeks, which that should be a lot of fun. But yeah, thank y'all for tuning in. Thank you to everyone for hanging out with me, and we'll talk to y'all later. Peace out.
Bye-bye.